Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Pizza Legends, this time for my new office space, which is very blank right now. I promise I'm working on it. In this video, we're going to add sprite sheet animations to our sprite class. We already have a great foundation for showing one frame of a sprite sheet on the screen. The next step for us is to change which frame is showing and when. That'll give us that stop frame motion effect and make our characters feel more alive. If you've missed anything, all the previous episodes are linked in the playlist below, and be sure to subscribe for future episodes as they come out and we continue to build this thing. Let's get started. So here's our scene as we left it in the last video. The first thing I want to do is come into the scene and actually remove this NPC temporarily. We're going to be doing a lot of like sprite work and using the console out to see what's going on. And so by having that second NPC, everything's kind of going to be doubled. So go to overworld map. We are currently looking at the demo room map. Here's NPC config object. I'll just take that object and comment it out. Next, I'm going to head to our sprite.js file and find where we define the animations. Currently, we just have one. It's called idle down. I'm actually going to kind of rework how this looks. So it's going to be idle dash down. In this video, we're going to end up adding a bunch of other ones. In fact, all of them that we'll need for the rest of the game, for people specifically, we're going to go ahead and just work in Sprite directly and then transfer it over to the person class. But in here, this is where we're going to define all of the walking and standing animations. So like walk left, left, walk right, walk down, walk up, etc. Let's make sure we update this spot too to idle down. That'll be our default starting animation. Now, before we start punching in the definitions of these animations, let's go ahead and just kind of look at the sprite and see what we're going for. If I open the sprite and a sprite here, see that currently we just have one animation, and that's just idle down. It's playing frame 0, 0 over and over again. That's what this looks like. It's just idle down. There's one frame in it, 0, 0. But what we want to do is create a new one called walk down, and walk down is going to cycle through the different downward frames. So the sprite sheet is laid out that sprite 0, 0 is right here. Then we want to show 1, 0, and then 2, 0, and then 3, 0. Now, right off the bat, you might notice that this column and this column are the same, like the frames are sort of duplicates of each other, and that's true. I've made videos in the past where we achieve the same kind of stop motion effect only using CSS, and with that particular technique, we would need duplicate frames in the sprite sheet to pull off the entire walking animation. Today, we're going to be doing a different technique where instead we're going to be giving just pure frame values that we want to use. So again, that's going to be like 0, 0, 1, 0, back to 0, 0, then over to 3, 0. It doesn't actually matter which order the sprites are laid out in, but this asset would work for both techniques, so that's why I'm using this one. So back in the code, I'm going to go ahead and make a new animation in our configuration object here. It's going to be called walk down. That's going to be an array of frames too. I'm going to paste in an array that matches up with just what we talked about. So first we're going to show frame 1, 0, and then we're going to show 0, 0. That's back to the same thing as the idle. And then we're going to jump over to 3, 0, and then we'll go back to 0, 0. In our class here, you can see that we already have two pieces of information that we need to determine which frame to show. We have current animation, and that's going to be like idle down. That's which series we're going to pull from. And then current animation frame, and that's going to be which pair of coordinates we're going to pull from within that animation series. One thing that's going to be new for us in this video is determining when to switch frames. So currently we're always staying on 0, 0, but now we want to do 1, 0 for a little bit, and then go to 0, 0, and then go to 3, 0, etc. So we're going to need some kind of element of time. So to capture that bit of time, I'm going to make a new class variable here called this.animation frame limit. And that's going to be a number, like we'll just start at 16. This number is going to be how many game loop frames we want to show this one cut of the sprite sheet. So we may stay here, and we'll stay here for 16 frames, and then we'll go here for 16 frames. If we increase that number, the animation will look slower because the frames won't be moving as fast. But if we decrease the number, then the character is going to move more quickly. We're going to make this configurable too, so any sprite can determine what its speed should be. So we'll say config dot animation frame limit, but if we don't provide one, we'll just default to that 16. So now we've established our cadence, and that's good, but we need one more piece to track our time or progress through that cadence. So how much time is left before we need to switch to the next frame. So I'll say this.animation frame progress, and this is gonna, just like our walking distance was in the previous video, this is gonna be a number that starts high and then comes down to 0. And so I'll just start it at the limit that we establish, and then in the loop, we'll start moving this downward. So now we should have everything we need to start with this frame, and then move to this one, move to this one, move to this one. But let's take some baby steps here and just see what it's like when we get this frame on the screen. If you remember, our draw method is just sort of hard-coded to 0, 0, but we want to change it to take the coordinates from our sprite sheet frames here. I'm going to add a getter method here, so get frame, and what it's going to do is be in charge of figuring out which animation we're on and then which animation frame we're on, and that's how we're going to be able to pull the correct pair from this array. So it's going to be return this dot animations, and then this dot current animation, and that'll be the key, like idle down. And then once we have that, we can go one more level deep and figure out which frame we're on to get the correct entry in our frames array here. So we'll do double brackets there and say this dot current animation frame. This in itself isn't too complicated, but it is kind of a lot to look at, and we're going to be using it a few different times. So that's why I like to reach for the getter method here. Now to see this working, let's just go ahead and start the game in our walking animation. So we'll just start as walk down and comment out this other stuff for now. So when we boot up, we want to start on frame 1, 0, but currently again, draw is still hard-coded to 0, 0. So what we can do is use our new method. We'll say, we'll use some destructuring here. So we'll say frame X and frame Y is going to be equal to this dot frame. This dot frame is going to give us back an array of coordinates. The first one will be X, second one will be Y. And so here we can just replace our 0, 0 with frame X and then multiply in that grid size of the sprite sheet design, and then frame Y, same thing. Now let's pop open the browser and see it working. When I reload the page, you see that our character starts on the different frame, so that's good. Now let's set up the part where the visible slice changes based on those frame counters that we set up before. Back in the code here, I'm going to make a new method called update animation progress. And then we can go ahead and actually call this every frame after we draw. So the idea is that we're going to draw what we have, and then we're going to run it through an updater so that the next time we draw, we may be drawing something slightly different. So the first thing we want to do in this new method is downtick any progress that's happening on the current frame that we're on before we switch. And so remember, we have a counter for that. So we'll say like downtick frame progress. So this is going to be if animation frame progress is greater than 0, meaning there's still work left to do on it, we're going to go ahead and downtick it. So we'll say minus equals 1, and then don't do anything else. Just return stop here. If the frame progress is not greater than 0, then we know that we can go ahead and reset the counter and change to the next frame, start the whole process over again. So we're going to say this dot animation frame progress is going to reset back to our kind of default value, and that's called animation frame limit. So in this case, that'll put us back to like 16 or so. Then we're good to uptick our actual frame that we're on. So if we started at 0, that means we're looking at, say, this one. We want to increase it to 1, and then the sprite will draw this one instead, and then 2 after that, 3 after that, etc. So this dot current animation frame is going to be +1, whatever it was before. And of course, we need to handle the case where we could go off the bounds here. So we'll start at 0, and then it'll be 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then there's no more room left. And so if our new value is beyond the bounds, we want to go ahead and restart to 0. Our frame getter is kind of helping us count that. So we can say if this dot frame is equal to undefined, go ahead and set the counter back to 0. This method is running every time we draw, so we can go ahead and look at the browser and just see what's happening here. So hard reload. Uh-oh. So 2 quick mistakes here, story of my life. For one thing, I put this function call in the wrong spot, where I put it after draw had ended. It should go like here. And then I also forgot to put the keyword this in front of it. I was expecting a function within the scope here, which obviously didn't exist, and so it was failing. So with these 2 edits in, we can go into the browser and reload the page. And now we see that our frame is cycling and our character looks like he's marching in place. So the walk down animation is working great, and that's good. But let's go ahead and quickly demonstrate some of the other directions that we might see. So kind of up here in the animations configuration object, I'm going to paste in something that I pre-wrote. This is just the same concept, but it's all the different animation directions filled in. So for example, you see down, right, up, and left for idle. That's just one frame a piece. It's lined up right with the sprite sheet. And then we have the same thing going on for the other directions when walking. 4 frames a piece. They're almost the same. It's just the Y coordinate is going to be offset for each direction. So now let me fire up the game. Instead of walk down, how about walk left? And I'll reload that. And now the character is walking left. Just to see it one more time. How about walk up? Cool, you can see he's walking up fine. And then I also want to show that, say we're on an animation that doesn't have multiple frames, it's totally fine. The system should work the same. So we'll say idle right. And now he's just standing to the right. So as you can see here, we kind of have a clear mechanism for changing which direction or which animation should be showing, and that's just this key right here. So now let's go ahead and set up an actual method that we can call to change the direction of the character's appearance when we should. Maybe like when the arrow keys are pressed or when the character wants to change directions. So down here in the class, I'll make a new method. We're going to call it set animation, and it's going to take in a key, and that key is going to line up with exactly one of these keys, like idle down, walk down. Any one of those will be fine. So the first thing we want to check is actually, is our animation changing? This function or method, whatever, it's going to be called a lot, and say we're already walking down, but then we call it with walk down again. That might happen. We don't want to like upset that walk down animation. We want it to just continue going as it was before. So the first thing we're going to do is add a check. And that's going to be if the current animation is not equal the new key that's incoming, we can go ahead and start setting some values, like this dot current animation should be the new key that's coming in. And then we want to reset our frame that we're on back to 0, because we want to start at the beginning of this incoming animation. So we'll say current animation frame is going to go back to 0. And then we also want to reset that counter that's keeping track of when to switch to the next frame. We want to make sure we get all the timing out of our new frames coming in. So we'll say animation frame progress is going to go back to our animation frame limit, which again is that cadence counter. And now we should have everything we need to fire off animation changes with code. Let's pop over to the browser again just for a quick reminder that last video we set up the system where game objects have directions now, but we only kind of used it for moving, like moving to the right, moving to the left. Now we can also use it for which sprite direction or animation should be playing. So we're going to go ahead and edit our person object to have their sprite reflect the actual direction that they're facing. So back in the code, I'm going to go to person.js, and I'm going to set up a similar method, just like in our update method here. We're always doing this update position method call. We're going to make a similar one called update sprite. And this is also going to take in the state. We can just pass that state directly through from the update method. Oops. So this update sprite, passing in that state. Now the simplest thing we could do here is just take whatever direction our GameObject has and pipe that into the sprite directly. So GameObject has a this.sprite on it, and we just created this new method called set animation. And now we just need to give it a key. So we know our keys look like idle, dash, and then a direction, for example. And then we have walking versions too. So we'll say this.direction. And now in every frame, we're going to be calling the set animation to change whatever the animation is to this direction. So let's see that working. And now the character, when I move the arrow keys around, it's like ice skating, pizza on ice. Love it. This is good, but the other thing we need to factor in is like, is the character moving or not? That's when we want to fire off the walking version of our directional animation. And so we could certainly add a check like this. If moving progress remaining is greater than 0, similar to what we've seen before in like update position, we're going to go ahead and do the same idea, but we'll be doing the walking version. Let's see what this looks like. This looks okay, but you can see it doesn't quite look right, and you see this weird kind of flicker going on. I think what's happening is that we're constantly changing the animation because we're calling that thing twice, right? So first we're setting it to the idle version, and then we're immediately checking, hey, if you're walking, do the walking version. But our sprite has a change detector in it, this here, and so we're constantly kind of like tripping over ourselves. So what we need to do is isolate this call from happening only when we want to change to an idle animation. So I'm going to come up here and grab some logic that we've seen before, this line from update, and surround it in our idle line here. And then if this happens, we're going to go ahead and return. And here we want to validate that we don't have an arrow. So you are player controlled. You don't have any more moving direction to go. That means you've made it to your next space. And also we want to make sure that you don't have an arrow pressed, because if say you're moving in one direction and you still have that arrow key down, we don't want to disrupt the flow of that looping animation. We want you to keep doing whatever you were doing before. This case is really only when we want to stop. Now in the future, we're going to have NPCs on screen that kind of make their own decisions on when they're walking and when they change directions or when they just stop to stand there for a second. And so in that case, we're going to probably come back and revisit a lot of this logic to work for both cases, but this is going to get us by for now. So let's go ahead and open this up in the browser. When I reload and start walking the character around, you can see that he walks only when he's moving, and then when I stop moving, he stands still. And I can even like release the key halfway through a cell and he'll walk all the way there. Now the animation does look a little slow for my taste, so let's just like play with it. I'm gonna go into Sprite, and instead of defaulting to 16, which again, that means 16 frames must pass before we move on to the next sprite sheet cut. Let's like cut it in half maybe. How about like 8? Now when I reload, he's got a little bit more of a hustle. And just for kicks, let's do it again. 4 might be crazy, but we'll see it anyway. And now with 4, he's got a little bit of a frantic, like, carrying hot pizza, must get there right now. So this to me actually looks pretty good. Now these are the only 8 animations that I've really planned for the scope of this game, at least for people objects. But say we wanted to add more, it would actually be really easy because the system is set up to just take in more keys. So say we wanted to make a new animation where the character like grabs a pizza peel and swings it around, something like that. It would just be a matter of adding a new animation and then putting in a new series of frames that should show in which order. And in fact, we could even keep updating the asset, and as long as we don't change an existing coordinate, at least, or without updating the code too, we could really just keep adding frames to the same sprite sheet. Again, this system doesn't really care where the frames are or how many frames there are in the sheet, anything like that. It only cares about the coordinates. So it's really pretty extensible. Now let's go ahead and put our NPC back in that we took out at the very beginning of the video. Reload the browser and see that the whole world just feels a little bit more alive with the animation. In the next video, we're going to start looking at a camera system, where right now everything is just very stationary except for when the characters move. One thing that really adds to the exploring nature of this kind of game is when the character actually stays in the middle of the screen and the camera follows them around. So you can kind of reveal different parts of the map as you walk. That's going to take a little bit of changing to our drawing code, and that's totally fine. We're going to tackle that in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. If you're liking the series and the project in general, please hit the like button. There's way more of these videos on the way, and I'm stoked to show you. And as usual, if you're working on a game, whether it's based on this one or completely different, you should join our Discord game dev community. The link's below. We'd love to see you there. Thanks again. See you in the next video.